Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing right here in Quebec. And today I'm very pleased to have Dustin Heiner from Arizona. Hi, Dustin. How are you?
I am blessed. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Axel. I really appreciate, real estate's fantastic, and I love real estate, but I love real estate because it affords me to not have to work a job and be successfully employed, to get it, be on great podcasts like yours, just talk to great people.
Well, man, it's a pleasure to have you. So before we get into your story, which I absolutely can't wait to, I just want to remind everyone it's really appreciated. Thank you for sharing the show with someone that you think can learn from it. Share it, leave me some comments, some feedback. Anything helps. So thank you very much. So now, Dustin, everyone is eager to know, how in the world did you get started in real estate investing?
Yeah, so I've always been entrepreneurial in my life, just growing up, entrepreneurial, starting businesses and stuff. So I'll jump quickly to the very end and then go back to the beginning. So Sure. When I was 37 years old, I was able to quit my job and become successfully unemployed. Basically, I found a way to make money for myself and my family without working that dead-end job, that just overworked job. And so when I was 37 years old, I quit my job, was able to travel the world a couple times with my family. It's just been great, but it wasn't always like that. So I'll go back to the beginning. So I've always been entrepreneurial in my life, and entrepreneurial, starting businesses and stuff. I even had, when I was 13 years old, I had my own newspaper route. That's where, a kid rides around on his bike with newspapers and throws the newspapers at 5 a.m. and hits the garage doors and wakes people up. And so I did that. Then I've also had a graphic and website design company, skateboard manufacturing business, pizzeria, and a convenience store. Literally started from the ground up. And all the while, though, I was taught, just like we're all taught, to go to school, get good grades, then go to college, get good grades, but then rack up thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, and then take that piece of paper, that degree that you get, and hopefully get a job. So I did that, all the while trying to do businesses, because I had my dad was entrepreneurial, so I was following his example. But I was always told, again, work 40 plus years of your life, then retire when you're 65 years old on 40% of the things that basically whatever you saved up. And I was doing that. But here's what catapulted me into real estate investing. While I was building other businesses, I bought one or maybe two rental properties. I thought, this is great, because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was awesome, realizing that you don't have to work a job. That was nuts, I think, and I had to do. Then I realized passive income and real estate. Now, I bought one or two properties, and I thought, man, if I get more of these, this will be great. But you know how life happens. My wife and I started having kid after kid. And so here's the story that I definitely got to share. Hopefully your audience will learn from my mistake or something that happened to me. So my wife and I started having kids. And if you could watch this, you could see my 4 kids in the background right there.
Yeah, and you have 4 of them. That's quite the commitment.
Oh, well, my wife is the hard worker. I have the easy job of making money. She's got the hard job of homeschooling the kids. So it's a good trade-off, at least in my eyes. So we were having kid after kid. By the time we had our 4th child, I was working my normal job. I was working for a local government in the county in California. And I was working for the local government doing IT work, normal 9 to 5, sit down desk job. And my wife had her 4th child. Then when she had her 4th child, I went on paternity leave. That's where the dad stays home with the mom and changes poopy diapers and bonds of the baby and all that stuff. So I was off for about a week or two, and then I go back to work. And that week, then I'm back to work on a Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. I get a call from my boss's secretary, like the top dog. She gives me a call and says, "Dustin, would you please come to the office?" And I said, "Sure." And I hung up the phone and I paused for a second. I thought, well, it's 3:30 on a Friday, and I've only been back a week. Like, this isn't normal. What's going on?
Am I fired?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm looking back, or thinking back, before I went on paternity leave, there were some rumors, there's some rumblings going on that there could potentially be layoffs in the county because the county was running out of, let's say, taxes that they're bringing in. I immediately shook that off. Like, no, I have so much seniority. I've been here 12, 13 years now. My bosses think I do a great job. Everything's fine. So I get up and I start walking down the hallway to my boss's office. Now, as I walk down the hallway, the hallway gets long. It feels like it gets longer and longer. It's a short hallway,
Yeah.
but every step it gets longer and longer. And I feel like my feet turn into lead bricks because the thought of potentially losing my job jumps right back in my brain and it starts crushing down on me. Well, I labor through the entire hallway. I get to the end and I turn the corner and I see my boss's door. His door is closed and his secretary looks at me and sheepishly she grins at me and says, "Dustin, would you please have a seat?" And she's grinning at me, trying to console me with her eyes because she knows everything about what's going on. I know nothing about what's going on. So I go and I sit down. As I'm sitting in that chair, I realize that all these years working this job, going to college, getting in debt, working this job year after year, and I start thinking, if this all gets taken away from me, is that a waste of my life? Like, my goodness, what's going to happen then? Then I realized, if I lose my job, how am I going to feed my family? My fourth kid is literally like 2 or 3 weeks old.
Oh my
How
God.
am I going to feed my family? So with that, on top of that, what I realized was, my goodness, does that make me a failure as a father? Does that make me a failure as a husband, as a man that's providing for his family? Well, as I sit there, my hands get all clammy. My forehead gets all sweaty because the weight of everything is just crushing down on me.
I can imagine.
Then the door to my boss's office opens up and out walks a lady, a coworker, with a piece of paper in her hands. And she is noticeably distraught, noticeably upset, not necessarily crying, but you could tell her world has 100% gets rocked. Well, as she passes by me, my boss says, "Dustin, would you please come in the office?" I get up and I go in his office and he hands me a piece of paper and I get laid off. And remember, this is the government. Nobody gets fired or laid off from the government, but I did. So if it happens to me, it could happen to anybody. Well, I take that layoff notice and I walk back down that short hallway to my desk and I sit down and I pause and I think, oh my goodness, I've lost my job. Then as I'm sitting there, I realized 2 things right then and there. This is something I would like for everybody else to realize. So number one, I realized I need to get another job. I need to be able to provide for my family. I need to be able to put food on my table. So I was really, really blessed, praise the Lord, to be able to find another location, in the same county, same local government, whole nother department, found a job there. Working at the sheriff's department is a great job, same everything. So check, I got that one done. But as I'm sitting in that chair, I realized the second thing. The second thing is I need to make sure that this never, ever happens to me again. I need to make sure nobody has the ability to take away my ability to pay my for food on my table, roof over our heads. So right then and there, I realized that my value does not come from my job, because anytime somebody would ask me the question, "Dustin, what do you do?" I would normally reply, "Oh, I work for the county. I do IT work." Well, I'm basically projecting my value as my job, when I realized, oh my goodness, that's not my value. My value comes from my God, from myself, and from my family. And so right then and there, I realized, because I knew I wanted to be an investor, but I didn't actually do it because life got in the way. I said, from now on, investing is the way to go. So I started telling everybody, I am an investor. That day forward, everybody who asked me that question, I said, I'm an investor. Now, it may so happen that 100% of my money comes from my job. That's now my part-time job. I am a full-time investor.
Yeah.
Fast forward the story, went to work at this new department, great department, everything. But I bought property after property after property, made $250 a month in passive income from every single property. And eventually I had 30 plus properties. And I thought, my goodness, what am I doing here? Like, I'm working here making $75,000 a year, but I'm wasting my life here. Yeah. I make so much more money if I quit. So I'll round out the story by sharing this. After buying property after property, about 6 years later, I went to my new boss, great boss and everything, but I said, "Boss, I'm laying you off." I basically gave him a 2 week notice. Jokingly, I said it was laying me off, but I said, "Here's my 2 weeks notice." And he said, "Dustin, what are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I don't have to do anything. I literally own real estate, and that real estate makes me money without working." So I left. And the last part of the story is I worked in downtown, and I parked about 1.5 miles away because I didn't want to pay for parking. I've taken this walk 1,000 times. I felt like on the last day when I was walking away from my job for the last time,
Best
I felt like I was walking
ever.
on, exactly. I was walking on clouds as opposed to walking with lead bricks on my feet. this one, I'm walking in class because I knew I would never, ever need a job again. So I'll pause the story and let you ask whatever questions you got.
No, but it's really inspiring, and thank you so much for sharing, because there is so much in that story that I, at least I can relate to, because I kind of went through the same thing. And just one of the things I'll pick is that it is so hard at first to identify yourself as a real estate investor, an investor in general. And I remember, like, for months at the beginning, I was actually shy to say that. And I felt guilt.
Same here.
And there was something, and I was like, and it wasn't even about what other people are going to think, am I comfortable with that identity that I've created for myself? And now it's not hard. And I fully, I'm knee deep into it, and I'm very proud to have built that. But I can understand and relate to what you said of, it's tough at the beginning to actually even say the words.
And on top of that, I had to realize that, like I said earlier, my value doesn't come from my job. And I was projecting my value as being the job. And same thing, like when I had my first couple of properties, I didn't really tell anybody because I felt like I was fake, like I was faking it. Like I bought a property. That's not an investor. Well, it is. In fact, before, and this is what I tell all my students now when I teach and coach them, before you even have your first property, you are an investor. That's what you are. You need to start telling yourself that now, because what's really interesting is your value is so much more than anybody can ever pay you. And I'll tell you, this is exactly how you know why. Your boss is paying you just enough to keep you working without quitting, but not so much money that takes money out of their pocket. And so when you start getting paid for your value, you're going to making so much more money. Like I said, I was making $75,000 a year. Now I make so much more, dramatically more, because I'm getting paid now for my value. So everybody needs to realize your value is not from your job. It's in yourself. And if you start telling yourself you're an investor, telling yourself an investor 100%, that gets your mindset changed. Then tell everybody else you're an investor. Now, what happens with that, you're going to get so many people that say, oh, you're an investor? Tell me about it. You're going to get people saying, well, I have some money. Can I invest with you? Or
I could be interested
that I want to sell. Exactly. Doors open up when people know that you're an investor. Just like if you say, yeah, I'm a plumber, doors open up to come do plumbing jobs. Oh, you're a plumber. I need plumbing work. Same exact thing.
And I find it's amazing the minute you kind of share your story with people and say, oh, I'm an investor and I used to be in the corporate world and stuff. Sometimes you see their eyes open up, and at the bottom, you can feel their, oh my God, he did what I didn't have the courage to do yet. Exactly. And I'm sure you've been through this before. And as you said, like, then every conversation becomes, I was going to say, a real estate conversation, in the sense of like, oh, wow, like you do that full time. How did you do it? Oh, well, it's kind of my aspiration. Where should I start? And actually, that I'm hoping to use this as a segue. Like, you shared your story on how you did it, but like, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Like, because everyone listening here already has a portfolio. They're looking to start building one. And so what would be some of the tips that you share, simple things that makes a difference when you compound over the years? Absolutely.
So, well, I'll start with, if you're looking to eventually replace your income with real estate investing in your investing and being able to pay your expenses, really what it comes down to, here's a big tip that this is how I started. This is what I teach everybody. There's two things. Number one, you need to build the business first when you're starting to invest. That's how you can scale the business, which I'll get into in just a second. But then also, you need to make $250 a month in passive income. So I'll jump into the passive income really quick, and then I'll talk about the business building. So we shoot for $250 a month in passive income, not for appreciation. We're not going to flip these properties. In fact, all my kids, I'm literally going to give these properties to my kids. This is generational wealth. Now, when I realized that I need to replace my income in order to make sure that I never get fired or laid off again, so I can be on my own. So I thought, okay, I need $4,200 a month. My wife and I talked about it. $4,200 a month from anything, whatever I do, to be able to provide for myself. And so I said, well, if I'm making $250 a month in passive income from one property, that's $3,000 a year. I'm like, oh, wow. If I just multiply that out times 10 properties is $2,500 a month. That is $30,000 a year in passive income. That's without working. 20 properties is $5,000 a year. Sorry, $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year in passive income. I thought, oh my goodness, if I shoot for that 250 minimum, remember, these are the minimum. I have some properties making $600, $700, $800 a month in passive income. That's literally after all the expenses. That's money coming in my pocket. Once I got to 20 properties, I realized, oh my goodness, what am I working here for? So that's the number one big tip. And I know a lot of your people already know this, but here's a big thing. Also, investors think I should invest for appreciation too. I personally do not. In fact, appreciation is great. In fact, I use it to cash out not selling it, but I do a cash out refinance, pull that cash to buy more properties so I can buy even more properties. But I'm not going to sell these homes. Now, I'm going to give them to my kids. If they're going to sell them, they're going to sell them. But over years, I could literally just keep pulling cash out to my more passive incomes. I started investing in 2006 before the crash. Now, when the crash happened, I had so many people literally go bankrupt around me, then investors or people that you hear of, like real estate investors, because they were not investing the right way. In 2006, all through the crash, I didn't have enough money to buy as many properties. I wanted to buy more properties because I was making a minimum of $250, because no matter if the market goes up, if the market goes down, or if the market goes sideways, I still made money in passive income. So I'm going to talk about build the business, but do you have any questions or any other thoughts before I jump into building the business?
No, so I just want to make sure, like when you say, and for the audience, I want it to be very clear, to make $250 per door per month, all expenses paid.
Correct.
Dustin, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. And for everyone listening, hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned until next week's episode. Thank you.
Thank you.